Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to Papaya Rhythms and Hustles, where we're gonna be talking a lot about the independent music scene, how to navigate this crazy, crazy industry. I'm your host, Gian Berselli. Welcome, welcome. Make yourself at home. This podcast is for you. We're here with Alvie today. I'm really excited. This is gonna be a landmark because it is the first recording. I'm so excited. Thank you, though, fist bump. For being able to do this. This means a lot. I feel like it's going to be the beginning of an era, so I really, really appreciate it. I want to start with the burning question in the back of my head. Why Alvie and the Breakfast Pigs? What was the name behind it? I would just love to understand a little bit of the history behind that.
Yeah, definitely. It can be a long story, so I'll keep it concise. But so there's four guys in the band, and three of us actually all lived in Arizona together about 10 years ago. And we started playing music out there. And I lived at a house. It was kind of a party house, and it was called Breakfast. And it was my house that I kind of was the landlord at, you could say, or whatever, was in charge of the house. So when we got together, they originally were all of my songs that I kind of was playing acoustic or kind of playing on my own. And I kind of had a show, and all my friends were sitting on the back porch, and we were like, hey, when's we did a full band thing? And we're like, yeah, but we would have to come up with a band name. And literally the first name we came up with, they're like, well, it's Alvie's songs, and we're all here at breakfast. And they pretty much were like, we like to trash this place. So hence the pigs. So none of those guys actually ever lived there, but it was the first name. They're like, all right, well, Alvie and the Breakfast Pigs. And we're like, that works pretty good. Let's do that. And we never turned back.
I love it. I love it. I really resonated with the name right away. I saw here in your Spotify profile about not coming with anything new, coming back to the old cuisine. I love this is the burger and fries. That really resonated with me, especially being a music producer myself. And you just see all this stuff and people trying to reinvent the wheel. And I don't know, I feel especially with AI stuff coming up, I feel I don't know, I feel there's going to be a lot of mediocrity coming to the surface. I feel I don't know, and I kind of like people bringing rawness to the scene. So I moved here as well. I'm also, from Brazil. I'm also trying to understand the scene here. But tell me a little bit about your inspiration from the song. So I also grew up in punk rock, which, by the way, I used to go in all black and my Converse shoes, kind of sneaking out of my mom's house, late at night, jumping the fence to see what we had back in my hometown, the toilet party, right? It was all metal and punk bands back in Brazil. And so I grew up in this culture a lot. Of course, nowadays I'm completely different. I do new age music, very, different side of the spectrum, but I feel the rebel spirit inside me still. So what it is about for you that got that started? Tell me a little bit of who you are, some of your backstory behind some of these songs, and what is the rebel spirit and why you're wanting to bring this rawness back. Because I really resonate with that. I really feel we need some of that in this era of too much processing, too much everything. So let's be raw, let's be real, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, I definitely know that from your background, the punk scene and the metal scene in Brazil is pretty awesome. I have some friends that have also experienced that. So I know the thrashy and trashiness of it, which it's fun to me. But yeah, I mean, I would say my upbringing, I listen to a lot of classic rock, and I think, bands like, Led Zeppelin and Creedence Clearwater Revival kind of really helped me get a kind of a basic structure of what brought joy to me. And to me, it's always been something that has energy and drives in music. So that being said, I love all kinds of music, but the stuff that really makes your hair stand up on your arms or gives you kind of that extra feeling has always been kind of rock music that gives me something more and has some sort of explosion in it. So high energy things. But it kind of also led me, I feel I liked rock, but how I got to the whole punk scene and everything was all kind of just by the people that I met and the opportunities I had. But I started working for a radio station probably like 12 or 13 years ago, out in Phoenix, called KWSS. And we was called Erratic Radio, music from the wrong side of the tracks. And we did punk rock, we did garage rock, we did rock and roll, we did noise, we did metal. And so we had a lot of up and coming bands from like, this label's not really, it's kind of got taboo, from the owners, but like Burger Records back 10 years ago had like tons of bands coming out. So we were very connected with that scene. And there was a lot of bands like Fiddlar, that we really connected with as well. The White Stripes, this gritty kind of, it has like historic elements to it, but it's kind of bringing punk into it. So I always kind of say that we're loud and fast, but we have inspirations from classic rock and also punk and garage rock. And I mean, I think another reason why I really like that over like the over processed thing, because at the end of the day, that music does sound good, when it's really processed and everything. But I've always been an analog person. That being said, I feel like it's finally switched where analog and digital things are just as good. They're just preference now. But back when I was learning audio and things, it was always the best. And I think I still kind of think about that when I write music is cool. We could have backing tracks and vocalists and all these things, and which one day I might do that. But I really like the ability to go and play what you hear on the record, that I can just play it live. And I don't need any help if the PA goes out or so, like all these things. I just have my instrument and I need a PA. That's all I need, So I think that's kind of some of the history behind it. I just love the energy, and I love the analog aspect of kind of gritty rock and roll, and mistakes. Not everything's perfect, but you get the feel of what it is.
Love it. The humanity behind it, right? I'm a bit of on this side of the spectrum too. Even though I do agree with you, I feel like technology has helped people immensely. Like I wouldn't be able to have a full-time living in music if it wasn't for technology, right? Because it makes things so cheap. I've learned everything. I do pretty much everything on this loft, right? That I showed you before. I guess it's worth showing the viewers as well. It's shitty, it's falling apart, but not a lot of invested here. And I was doing like things for the radio and the movies in China, right? So I do appreciate that for sure. But on the other hand, I feel like the humanity, I feel like it's probably going to have a comeback, right? What do you think? What do you think the role, I mean, this is going to get a little bit philosophical, and I was definitely not thinking about going there, but I already love where you're taking me. What do you think the role of music is? For society? I know there's many, right? But for you specifically, what do you see your role? I saw that you wrote here that you're like a bastion of rock. Like what are you thinking that the role of music, specifically the music that you're doing is right now?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I think the music itself people have, I don't know, music has changed so much of what it means. I mean, it used to be this thing that you could only get on the radio, and now it's literally at the touch of our fingers everywhere. And, you hear CEOs from Spotify saying, there's no value in music anymore because it's so readily available. And that's something that I feel like I don't agree with. And, talking about AI and things like that, like a second ago, you were saying, AI can potentially have all these things, but I don't think it'll ever take it'll have a place, just like when new genres come up. And then I think overall, though, I think the creativity of normal people will always be known, even though they'll be really good at it, but they still are getting their creativity from people. But I would say for me, I mean, where I see music going and like where I want it to go is I really want it to resonate with people and people to slow down and listen to it a little bit more. I've always been kind of the person, like, I'm releasing singles this next year, but if it was my way, it'd be an album and it would be on vinyl. I have, a ton of records over here, and I like listening to my, my music on vinyl as much as I can because it feels purposeful to me. It's like, you sit down, you put it on, you're listening. I can't skip a song. I have to listen. It takes me down this path. So I kind of feel like where I see music going is it's going everywhere, and I would like to see it. I feel like there's now the top 40 scene, and then there's the underground scene. And I feel like before it was very much like stacked top 40. And I feel like it's more equal now where there's two different sides. So
Absolutely.
I'd like to see more of that. I mean, I'd like to see more people being able to have opportunities to get their music heard. That being said, I'd like to see music have more value again, and I'd like to see people pay for the things that they like. That being said, I don't have a ton of money, but when I'm listen to Spotify too, I pay for it. But when I find an album that I like, I make sure I try to support that artist in a way. If they don't have a vinyl, I'll buy a T-shirt, things like that. But I like to see more and more artists. That's like my favorite thing about music is finding new artists. So I think the ability to have more artists is a positive thing for me, even though some people are like, oh man, that's more saturation. You're never going to get heard. But from a listener standpoint, there's also more music to be listened to.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's easier than ever for a smaller band to be successful in what they do. So I'd like to see that kind of happen more and have people kind of think less in a monetary sense of what music is and have it be more of an art form again and be appreciated and be, put up on a pedestal of what it is. So I think
Absolutely.
that answers your question a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it. That kind of reminded me when I was in China. So before we started the podcast, I was telling Alvie that I had a company in China in Beijing, and I went there. And the feeling that I got is that the city's so massive, the city's so big that and this is a concept like even like some French architectures they are talking about this because the city gets so massive that what you ended up having to do is just you kind of like get tied to your own neighborhood, right? Like it gets so spread out, so massive like that it's almost impossible to cross, the city or get anywhere because of traffic. So you have a lot within your block or in your neighborhood. I remember I lived in this building of like, I think with 35 floors with like 5 buildings. There was like a lot of people, right? But you had everything downstairs. You had restaurants, you had gym, you had supermarkets, you had pretty much everything for your basic needs there. And then like within a couple blocks, you had like almost everything else, right? So in a way, I feel like I can see this movement on music as well, right? Like where we are slowly kind of turning ourselves inwards again, where we're gonna like talk to our own little community, not only necessarily geographically I'm talking here, but like you're gonna find your niche fans and you're gonna engage with them and kind of build off your own voice in your community there. And I love it, right? And again, I don't want to, this is not about talking about Papaya, but this is the vision I want to for Papaya is understanding that there is enough of an independent scene out there and people need to get connected, right? Because right now we're kind of fighting our own battles. We're like, oh yeah, I want to be independent, I'm gonna do this and there's so many of us just kind of like fighting alone, right? Like why we just don't bring everyone together and start fighting this battle together. So I really resonate with that, dude. I really resonate with that. I would love to hear a little bit out of my own curiosity. What's your relationship with the Bay Area, and how you started making some music about the Bay Area? Because I resonated. He has one of the songs there, like the recording of one of the buses that I used to take, and that brought me back so many memories. Like, oh my god, I remember that bus. So I feel like you're kind of capturing a little bit of the zeitgeist of the Bay Area, right? You said in one of the songs that you're paying a lot to live, and like you want to do your art. Like, what is your relationship with the Bay Area, and what made you start making music about some of the situation that we're all facing here?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I kind of got to San Francisco in some ways by mistake. I graduated college and knew I wanted to go play music somewhere, and I had an opportunity to move to Alaska. And so me and my bass player, Philip, moved to Alaska to pretty much save enough money to move to San Francisco. And the reason we did that is because my bass player that was in Arizona at the time was in a national touring, world touring band called Authority Zero. They're a punk rock band. They've been around for about 30 years. They just played in Berkeley a couple weeks ago at Cornerstone with, let's see, who was it? Belvedere and the Mad Caddies. So some classic punk bands. But anyways, so I had a buddy that moved out here that was a guitar player that was like, "Hey, I'll play bass for you guys if you guys need it." So we moved out here, and I kind of fell in love with the city. Like we came here to visit, and then when we left, everything kind of just kept on telling us to come back here. So I decided to make that reality, and I said, "Hey guys, I'm moving to Alaska, and then I'm moving to San Francisco to start playing music again." And I said, "You can come if you want," and they did. So my drummer Jake and Philip, our bass player, they followed us or followed me, I should say, and we came out here. And to be honest, we didn't know about a lot of the struggles of the Bay Area until getting here. So like when we moved here, we knew it was going to be expensive, but we were like moved here in 2014, and that was kind of right when everything started bubbling up in price. And if we would have showed up 6 months later, I don't think we would have been able. We would have had to move to like Daly City or somewhere outside of Oakland or somewhere else. So I think we got lucky, and I think that kind of started our struggles and love of the Bay Area. And I think that that's kind of where some of our music comes from is the struggles of surviving here and kind of getting a leg up while also having some of the best things ever in one place. And I think that overall, we want everything to be better. We want people to be who they are. We want the world to be, we play punk rock, but we also like want to spread love. We want to spread joy and happiness. And we want to do that by people coming to our shows or listening to our music and having a good time and smiling and getting the humor and our personalities that come through. And I think, the same thing is with our music. Like we have a song called Litterbug, which is about picking up trash. And that was something that was really hard for me moving out here. It's a city, there's trash everywhere. And I'm like, it's such a beautiful city. So trying to, our album, Plastic Surgery was really kind of about, doing what you think is best and not what other people think is best, which is being your true self. And, for me, that's, talking about the things that are important to me, which is, being happy. It's about being nice to the planet, being nice to people around you. It's about being on the right side of politics, things like that. So, and the Bay Area we learned that a lot of the things that who we were was about the Bay Area. So we kind of like got here and then realized this was our home. And now we write about it because we love it and we want it to get better. So, but there is lots of struggles. I would say there's a lot of songs that we have about the struggles of, we've all had different jobs out here and good jobs and bad jobs. And, whether you make a lot of money or a little money, it's still a struggle to live here. But that's kind of some of the quirk of the city is if you can't cut it here, you're not here,
If you don't meet someone in the Bay Area and we're going to complain about rent prices, you're just not from the Bay Area, right? Like, it's just like, or you're like in the top 1% and you're not even connected with anyone else. Right? You always,
you're living in a different world.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny. There was a line of one of your songs that I really resonated with pardon me if I misquoted, but I think it's like, ocean on the right, highway on the left, or something like that. Yeah, this is really California life for me. And I'm being from Brazil too. Like, I really resonate what you're saying. Like I think this year I had some pretty weird health struggles and I didn't have like good health insurance, right? So I remember like being all screwed up here, like not really good health wise, but looking at this amazing view. And I was like, shit, like, like I'm in an amazing place. I'm like in the Berkeley Hills, walking and like looking at some of the most amazing like sites ever in a city, at the same time not having health insurance. And it's like, oh, this is so tough, right? Exactly. It's like, it's the balance, right? Like the price that we pay for being here in the Bay Area. So I really love it, dude. Dude, as I said, I would love to go deeper and deeper, but just for the sake of the listeners, I'll try to keep it short. Maybe we'll have you back, and especially once this podcast gets a little bit more structure, we'll go deeper in some other subject. But I would love to ask maybe one final question, which is like, so as I told you, Papaya is all about sharing experiences, right? I really want to build a platform where musicians are going to share some of the painful truth that they learn and kind of spread that and share that with, the people who are in the industry right now. So Can you share some like, and it's fine if you don't have like, like a hacking, like it's not about finding, oh, let's hack the system, but what are some of the most valuable lessons you learned by being on the road and being like in the scene for this long? Like if you would say like, hey, I've learned this is the path I got to take, like anything that comes to mind that you like to share with, either newer generations or current struggling musicians or anything like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few things. I mean, I've been on the scene now here for 10 years and gone on, I don't even know how many tours now and released multiple albums and have learned from all of them, I would say. I'm actually running a consulting business right now too, called On and Off Stage Consulting, where I'm actually helping music venues and musicians do anything from booking to management to, like tour booking to kind of getting organized, social media, all of those different things. So I've learned a lot over the years, but I would say some of the best free advice I could give people is one, you're always going to be moving forward and you're going to be moving up. And every time you take that step, you got to give yourself the credit, because it's easy to get to a point and just be hard on yourself and be like, I'm worthless. I'm nothing. I haven't done. But if you look for where you came from, there's always something to be appreciative of and some sort of milestone that you have crossed to get to where you are now. For instance, we play a show, we play Bottom of the Hill a lot. It's one of our favorite venues. We're working on some more shows there. And, there's been times where we're like, oh man, like we only got like 120, 130 people out there. And we were bummed. And I'm like, at one point we'd be happy if 10 people showed up. So you got to give yourself credit. So I think that's one thing that's really important, and it's hard for musicians or artists in general, is to, when you have something good happen, is to give yourself a pat on the back. You did it, give yourself the credit, and then move on, go to that next step. I would say another thing is being really aware of who you are in the scene and being a part of the scene. It's really easy to say, oh, I play music and this is my thing, come to my show, or let me advertise constantly on social media. But you really have to give it who you are to the scene, which will give it back to you. So that means supporting other musicians. That means, going and being part of podcasts like this. That means helping other people out with shows, maybe for free, for pro bono and things like that. But overall, I think just being part of the scene and helping people out is what makes the scene so good. And it makes being in a band and having people in front of you and fans and friends and family, that's one of the most important things. And, having that support as a community. So I think that you can't forget your community. That's the second thing. And I would say the third thing is just, keep doing what you're doing. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to tell you differently. And I would say being authentic of who you are is the most important thing. I could easily go get, electronic, a MIDI keyboard and try to start making top 40 music. And sure, it might sound fine, but it's not what I want to do. So my passion won't be pushed into that. So I think it's important for whatever people do, don't do it because it's popular right now or because other people are doing. It always comes full circle eventually, and you're never too old to play music. I always bring the example of Bill Withers didn't even pick up a guitar till he was 32 years old and start singing. Oh, and look at him.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so I say those are a couple things, and keep pushing too. I would say is never give up.
Yeah. Well,
unless you want to.
Well, I really appreciate the things you're saying because for sure the success metrics are really hard to grasp, right? Because we're looking at it into monetary or numbers or social media followers, right? And those are not necessarily a direct correlation, right? Like especially streaming numbers. I've been telling the artists that I produce here in the labels, like, dude, freaking forget Spotify. It's like Spotify should be like a very, very like natural, less like thing that you need to worry, a natural consequence of your day-to-day work, like showing up, connecting, making gigs, live, selling your stuff, being active on whatever you think it's relevant to you, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I want to increase my streaming numbers. It's like, I feel like we're also facing a paradigm shift of just like, oh, people are like really used to make money out of royalties from radio. Everyone is trying to look for like streaming services to kind of cover that, but that just doesn't exist anymore. So, and people are not really, I don't know. They're just not getting that like fast enough. Right? We have to do other things, right? Like, and it sucks because a lot of, I mean, in a way, like it was hard to get there. Anyway, it was a lot of red lines and nepotism and who you know. But at the same time, there was good money to be made there. And if you got in, there was some good stuff. But now, oh yeah, Spotify kind of democratizes access, but people are just not making money unless you're like 20 million more, right?
Yeah, and it changes all the time. I mean, how people made money 5 years ago is different than now, and 10 years ago it was completely different. And unfortunately, the music industry is hard to keep up on.
Yeah,
and so that's where I hope that I see people kind of getting like you've heard about it before, but you hear people like Gen Z's going back to wired AirPods or wired air headphones and iPods and vinyl and cassettes and things like that. And I think I'd like to see some more physicality to music come back in the future, and I hope it does. And so it's one thing to get a song and listen to it on your phone. It's another thing to hold something in your hand.
Absolutely.
So
one of my best memories as a kid, I remember it was like going to the record store and buying the album, feeling that smell, opening that up, reading all of the parts of that album, like appreciating the artwork, right? I really love that. I really miss that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe newer generations will appreciate that. I mean, maybe not, I don't know, but I think there's something nice to it, right? Maybe us, the musicians who are, putting out the music, we can try to incentivize it. Hey, get something that will help me a lot, and maybe they will have that experience too, because I just love that, having that relationship with the album, right, when it came out. It's not something disposable, like, another track, another Spotify, okay, skip, like, no, you sit down, you listen, you look at the artwork, right? I maybe we're too much of millennials here talking to you guys. I don't know if the newer generations will understand that, but it is one of my fondest memories with music. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes me think of one of the new songs that we have coming out in 2025. We actually have 5 singles coming out.
Yeah, and
one of those is a song called "Legs for Breakfast," and it's about pretty much perpetually or people not wanting to pay for art, and that how artists are have this craft that they're trying to get out, and people just want it for free. So we kind of have some fun with it a little bit. We talk about how we don't need your money. We'll just eat our legs for breakfast.
I love it.
But yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff coming out in 2025. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on the evil Spotify but on all that stuff. So we're really active on Instagram too. So
anything like next year plans that you might want to share?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we got some singles coming out. There should be a few out already by the time this comes out. And we'll be releasing one for every 6 weeks or so is the goal. So it might be a little bit in between that. We'll have to see. But other than that, we're going to be playing some shows. We don't have anything in the books yet, but we'll definitely be playing in March and in the summertime around the Bay Area. So we'll probably take January, maybe a little February off. But so we're going to be really focusing on these new singles. There's going to be a lot of content on Instagram and all TikTok and YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. And if you guys like the music, make sure to follow us and come see us live and let us know. Tell us that you like it, because that helps us know what songs to write,
That's cool. I love it. And hopefully, I mean, let's see if there's, again, the timing allows, but maybe we can use some of the songs to play during the episode, right? Like kind of help.
Definitely.
Yeah, folks listen. That would be really cool. I mean, again, some of the lyrics too is just like they were just like so perfect for some of the things that we're talking to.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's nice to feel like people are listening.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
I'm just kidding.
I make sure. I mean, for me, it's just such a pleasure to listen. I mean, Dude, my purpose in life is to bring new music, to have more art in the world. I feel like we need that, right? And being first I start making music myself. It's like, okay, this is not gonna be enough. Then I start making music for others. It's like, okay, this is not gonna be enough. Then I start producing others. Like, okay, I want more. Now I'm opening Papaya. Like, okay, like I've learned that in order to have more music, more art in the world, it's just not about writing music. You need to have all this myriad of things like financial support, bookkeeping, like business insights. Like there's so many other things that we need to help people with. So this is really where the purpose is.
I feel you there.
Yeah. You said that you're providing some consulting work. I would love if you could sign up on Papaya. We have two little different things. We have like the artist side of things. It would mean a lot if you could put the band there and yourself. Give us some feedback. But we also have the services area there. It's all free. It doesn't cost anything. And because I have seen people looking for like A&R or management help. So maybe I can start, sending some people in your way as well for
Great.
to get some gigs there. And again, this is really what we want to build anyway. It's just a connecting tool.
Yeah.
So.
Starting point. Yeah, definitely. Well, like I said, I'm here to help. And at the end of the day, I know some people have certain budgets. I'm usually willing to work with them on that. Or, at minimum, I can always do some free consultations. And if I'm not the one to help, I usually have some other people that are able to help too, depending on what everyone's budget is. But it's all about, like I said, it's all about community. It's all about helping other people. When other people in the scene do well, we all do well.
I agree. The tide rises all boats. I recently learned that American expression. I really like it. Alvie, any final shout outs, any final questions, any final thoughts, anything that you want to bring?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on and Papaya. I'm stoked to check it out. And yeah, any way that we can help spread the word, please let us know. And excited to, like I said, help in the future.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks, Gian.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Special thanks for Alvie and the Breakfast Pigs. I love this name, by the way. I love listening to the music, reconnecting to the San Francisco energy. Special shout out to Matheus Rezende, the director of this podcast. Thanks for everything you're doing. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check Papaya out at www.heypapaya.com. And I'll see you in the next episode. All right. Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.